Hey guys, I'm sitting here with a VIP auto collector for us at Rosso Corsa, and we are going to be talking about his really incredible experience as a memorabilia, art, and coin collector, and also as a car collector. So here's Bruce, and we're excited to talk with you guys today. So Bruce, you have been doing coin collecting for a number of years. How many?
Coins and art is a focus of my business and collecting passion for better than 20 years.
Okay, so you've got the experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how have you been able to get involved with Rosso Corsa and their automobile collection?
Yeah, so we moved out to California about a year ago as a family, and immediately began to hunt for the right guys who could help me build. Really primarily started with building a motorcycle collection. I got back into motorcycling after a long hiatus as a single dad and a committed dad to young kids, so I always knew I'd get back in it. And these guys just doing the homework out here and meeting different people and looking at the quality of what they do. I mean, their attention to detail is phenomenal. They're beautiful automobiles, and these guys, their service is unlike anything that I've found. And I've been around cars and motorcycles for a long time. My grandfather ran a Jaguar dealership for 40 years, so I know the game.
Yes.
And these guys are good about making it an enjoyable experience. So.
Okay, that's really incredible. Thank you for explaining it. I think that you have more experience than a lot of people out there.
Maybe.
So on that same note, when you're looking at your own collections as a professional collector and then moving into cars and collecting motorcycles or automobiles, what kind of detail do you look for, as you mentioned?
So with any collection, there's a couple of few ingredients that make for a really fabulous, lasting, what I call a legacy wealth collection. Quality would be number one. I've tried to focus on beautiful, rare, storied assets, whether it's rare coins that have sold for $4 or $5 million, or pieces of art that have sold for that or more. I've had the good fortune of handling some really compelling storied assets, whether Picasso's or Rembrandt's or Jackson Pollock's.
Oh my gosh.
Those kind of assets, because the quality is unlike anything else and the story is so big, those are really two primary ingredients to building a great collection. And just look around you, look at the brands these guys are representing, right?
Yeah.
So, when you find a group who's committed to quality and you have a commitment to quality, it's a relationship that's going to work.
Awesome. Okay, so on that same chord, and thank you so much for these explanations. It really is awesome to pick your brain about this. What's probably the most valuable thing that you have handled, or the most valuable asset that you've owned?
Well, owned and handled are two different things, right?
True.
So I wish I could say I owned everything I've handled, but that's not the case. So in terms of ownership, without divulging the value for privacy reasons, that's another thing about collectors and the kind of arenas I work in. Privacy is important. We live in a world where there's no privacy left.
Right.
And a lot of tentacles always grabbing for your dollars and affections. And so I deal a lot in privacy-oriented assets, and whether it's storied, shipwrecked coins that have been under the ocean for 100 years, or pieces of art that have been in a family for generations that the world has never seen. That's been a lot of fun. But in terms of the most valuable I've worked with, probably a really well-known artist whose works can sell for up to 150, 200 million. I've handled one for a family. We've been working on this project for some time now, and the painting's probably worth about $30 million.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
The money, the figures are cool, but really it's about the story and the history and
the quality,
and the quality.
Right.
That's what attracts me to collectibles and anyone who's serious about it. So.
Well, thank you for that. In your last response, you talked about privacy and how privacy is important. Do you feel like you found that same respect and privacy here, working with Rosso Corsa.
Yes, yeah, and part of what motivates a collector is also telling the story.
Right.
So these guys allow you through social media and relationships within the social media they're doing or any you're doing on your own. They allow you to direct the privacy part of it.
Okay.
So I like to show the bikes or the cars. I think one of the compelling things about collecting is you get to show people the story you've built, the legacy you've built. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not from an egotistical sort of trophy standpoint, although there are a lot of collectors motivated by that, and if that's their thing, that helps them build a great collection, so be it. I have a lot of those clients, so no disrespect to those guys.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about telling the story, because I grew up around this stuff. My grandfather was a car guy, taught me how to ride motorcycles, ran a Jaguar dealership for 40 years, and gave me my first car as a 16-year-old, a fully restored British racing green Triumph Spitfire convertible. For a 16-year-old kid, you start there, you're hooked, it's in your blood.
Right.
Then the stories that unfold, it's cool, it's hard to get away from.
Wow. So I have to ask, I don't know if you have an answer for this, but what is a story linked to one of the automobiles that you've bought from Rosso Corsa? Is there a story that you're just really in love with?
Sure, yes, and it's really the first car I bought. I bought a number of bikes from these guys. I won't say how many because I don't think my wife's keeping count. I don't want her to know. But actually, the best story is about the car I got for. So my wife's Italian. She's an artist.
Okay.
She's always had a great appreciation for nice things, and she understands the aesthetics of automobiles as well. So for birthday, kind of surprised her with Maserati Turismo Pininfarina. These guys had.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, gorgeous car, black.
What a gift.
Red diamond stitching, red leather seats, carbon package, the whole deal.
Oh
This is
my
just
gosh.
phenomenal, right?
Wow.
So what they do, they give you a phenomenal piece of auto art anytime you're getting anything. But this one I thought was the sexiest. So anyway, I took her to lunch. She didn't know what was going on, and took her to the Montage Hotel. I told her I'd meet her there, had her park, and of course they make you valet over there.
Right.
So we had a great meal overlooking the Pacific, and then when we walked out, the valet drove her car out with a big red bow on it, and it was a great moment. So,
Oh my gosh.
to me, that's what the whole experience is about. So
That is awesome. I will tell my husband an idea
Right.
for a new birthday
Right.
present. Yeah.
There you go.
So earlier you talked to me about, how nothing's really private anymore. People are always buy, and we just have so much excess, right?
Right.
But as a collector and as a man of great detail, how does a buyer and collector find the right people to do business with?
Yeah. So with all the access to information that we have these days, pricing has become ultra competitive.
Right.
And so everybody's looking for a place to save $1 or $2. And while the numbers are important, it's really, for me, and the way I approach business, helping others, and the way I look for it, while pricing's important, it's not everything, because you have to be doing business with people you can build a relationship of trust with, and folks that have the same attention to quality and detail that you expect, especially when you're trying to build a collection that stands apart. You can buy anything at a discount.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're getting, for the long run, a great asset for you.
Right.
So I think it's doing the homework, spending some time getting to know the people you're building your buying relationship with, and making sure it's a good fit.
Makes a lot of sense. When you're talking about investing and gaining a relationship with a product or producer, what kind of collectible assets make good investments?
Collectible, so people collect for all sorts of reasons, right? And it's amazing what people collect. I've seen collections that represented just ancient hair examples, right? So from donkeys or
Never heard of
monkeys,
that.
or it's so the realm of collecting is
That's
so
awesome.
wide.
Yeah.
You have coin collectors, you have art collectors, motorcycle collectors, car collectors, baseball card collecting has been big for a long time.
Yeah.
That market did really well for a period of time, about 20 years ago, sort of gone backwards since.
My dad
So-
played in the majors. So.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, keep going. I know
Okay,
what it's
so
like.
see what kind of cards he has.
Yeah.
I had a client who had an Onus Wagner card, for example.
Okay.
Sold it for well over $1 million.
Yes.
The coin then tripled in value.
Yes.
So the motivations are so different. And so I always tell my clients, focus on what you're passionate about. You know?
Great advice.
And so through the studies that we've done, those of us who are in the business, what we've found scientifically is the average passionate, resourced collector collects about 2.8 things passionately on average. So there's not a lot of guys that just focus on one thing.
Right.
Which people in my family will tell you, okay, so what are you collecting this week? What have you changed to? For me, it's finding another story, another facet of life that's interesting. And I think a lot of guys are built that way.
So when you're talking about, people only 2.8, right, percent, or
They collect, so, statistics are weird.
Yes.
Somehow, how you get 2.8, how an average collector collects 2.8 things, I don't know. Where
Right.
the other 2 tenths go, I don't know. On average, almost 3 very passionate interests.
got it. So do you think when collecting, no matter if it's coins or cars or memorabilia, do you think love or passion is the driving factor, or is it more of an investment or maybe for the ego that you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, so again, it totally depends on the client behind the collection.
Okay.
I've handled each of those kind of clients, right? The guys that are driven by ego. They may have buddies that are collecting high-end motorcycles, right? They got to get one a little bit better.
Right.
Or, I've had clients who were trying to amass the greatest United States gold collection. They found out somebody else had a coin that minimized one part of their collection, so they'll go out but primarily I think it is driven by an affection for that particular asset. For me, the ultimate strategy is if you can combine those two. You can combine what you love with a piece of history that is so rare and the condition so elite and inaccessible. You combine those two, that's going to cause the value to drive. Because what's interesting, if you got $10 million to put into a collection, you're probably better off getting 2 or 3 assets for that $10 million, because of there are fewer people investing at that level. The ones that are very, very passionate and driven to go get it and pay whatever it takes each time they come up. So.
Okay, awesome. What is more important to you, price or condition, or is there another factor when you're buying a collectible?
Right, yeah, so condition is always at the top for me. So pricing should be a reflection in reality of condition, of rarity, of the importance of the story, but it isn't always. So you may find yourself to a quote-unquote fire sale where you get an asset of great condition, the story's big, the asset is one that's always been popular for collectors, but for whatever reason the dynamics are unique and you get it at a smart price, right? There are other times where you need to compete to go get an elite asset.
Right.
So that's why in the art world you'll often hear about another Picasso broke a record, or another Rembrandt broke a record, another Rothko broke a record. So now we have pieces of art that are we've reached $500 million now.
Oh my gosh.
And so the numbers are astonishing, but the reason is those things are so rare, so sought after, and the performance history has been so good for so long, people with resources, they're going to pay what it takes to go get it next. So you can find your way to value and what we call fire sales in the market, but you shouldn't be scared to really go compete for what you want.
Okay, I think that's good advice for anything in life. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So when talking about all of your different collections, what does it take to maintain value in your collections?
So interest and value can be two different things.
Okay.
But again, you can combine those two to make it really rewarding. So for me, I have interest in a number of different things. So I love to collect good cigars. I love to collect autographs. I deal in a lot of sports memorabilia, for example.
Okay.
For my son's graduation, he just graduated from USC, go Trojans. I gave him a jersey signed by Bill Gates. It's a Microsoft hockey jersey, right? It's one of a kind that I got from an auction many years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So, the interest is about story, it's about uniqueness, it's about your own personal interest. And you put all those things in the mix and you have some attention to value as well. I think that's what keeps collectors going.
Okay.
And they enjoy the assets, and they enjoy passing on the story. They enjoy talking about the story.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like you get burnt out from collecting. Yeah.
I've not met a collector that got burned out.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's the community.
Yeah.
If you want to kind of get a little bit more of an idea of what Bruce does in his collection business, you have a website, I'm sure.
Website's being revamped, but yes,
Good.
and contact these guys. I'm doing this for them and with them, and just love to tell the story of what they're doing for me here at Rosso Corsa. And so I actually tell my clients, I have guys who collect rare vehicles as well. And so one of the things that's been really unique about my business journey over 20 years is I've spent a lot of time studying and being active in a lot of different genres of the collecting space to build great relationships. So if it's something I need some additional expertise or network resources for or reach for, I can help a client get there. And for automobile collecting, these guys are that contact. So you contact them, they can tell you how to get in touch with me.
Awesome.
And whether it's baseball cards, manuscripts, coins, fine art, I kind of have a passion for it all. So.
Awesome. Well, Bruce, you're a really talented man. So thank you so much for spending a lot of precious time with us today.
Thank you. It's been awesome.
Awesome. Nice to have met you.
You too.
So good.